Good morning. We're going, can you walk and chew gum at the same time? This morning I'm going to ask, can you eat and change your life at the same time? I'm going to go ahead and launch into our time, so feel free to eat in front of me as I talk. Quick prayer, and then we're going to get into it. Father, I pray that you will speak to us this morning and guide our, not just our conversation in our small groups, but guide the thoughts and activities of our heart as we process these really important aspects of who we are. Thank you for this opportunity to engage you in what you're doing. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. I'll say it again. Probably not. I probably have several other times I'm going to say this, but you were built to count as water is made to run downhill. You were placed in a specific context to count in ways that nobody else does. And that is your destiny. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been exploring this idea of calling and destiny and trying to figure out if that's true, if there's something about me that makes me stand out from others and allows me to contribute to the world. I want to figure out what it is. And what I've suggested from the beginning is you can figure out your calling when you see the overlap of two massive truths. Truth number one is that you are really unique. As a matter of fact, the Bible calls you a masterpiece. You're a masterpiece created to do good works, which God prepared in advance for you to do. There's that calling. Your calling is the most ancient thing about you, and it is the most eternal thing about you. Ancient in that your calling was impressed upon you before you had a body and before you had a mind and a heart and a soul. Your calling is the most ancient. It is also the most eternal in that when you operate in your calling, you leave a legacy behind you, mostly names and faces, people that you've impacted, and your impact will continue on generation after generation. If you've impacted one person, it's going to slough off in a good way on somebody else, and that makes your calling eternal. So, calling is the invitation or beckoning on your life to contribute in a way that actually impacts God's kingdom and in some way touches a broken world. That's the other truth, that your uniqueness overlaps with the brokenness of the world. So, we have been looking at, last week we took a deeper dive into your life story because your life story is one of 4 aspects of your life that make you a masterpiece. And you're thinking, my story makes me a masterpiece? Yes. The good, the bad, the ugly, the wondrous have shaped you for who you are. Second thing that we're going to look at, but we're going to delay this till next week, are the passions that move you, the things that you stand for. That'll be our last week together. We'll focus on that as we bring this to a close. So your life story, your passions. Today, we're going to take a look at this third and fourth characteristics of your life, and that is your personality, and then this whole conglomeration of your skills and abilities, some of which are inherent or innate, and some have been learned. We're going to look at those last two because watch this. Your personality, you know that your calling has a style. There is a style to your calling that it is basically how you go about walking into the world with your calling, because you can have 2 people that have the exact same calling, the exact same passion on their life, and they're going to go about it differently, such as Brandon and Mark. There's a lot of similarities between Brandon and Mark. They are both teachers in the suburbs of Indianapolis. So one of them teaches in the Fishers School District and one teaches at Westfield. They're roughly the same age. They have families and they live in the suburbs, so they share a lot. They have a lot in common, and the biggest thing they have in common is they both have a passion to deal with racial inequalities. They both have a passion to bring justice to people who are experiencing inequity and injustice in their life. So the same passion, but they could not So lots of similarities, but they could not be more different in other ways. So here's how they're different. Well, one thing, if you look at them, one's white, one's black. They're two different people that way. Also, if you look at their personalities, which we're going to focus on, one of them is more quiet, relational. The other is more vivacious and out there. One of them has this, you get the idea that you can trust you could sit with him and he would listen to you. And the other is loud on social media, and he's a rap artist. But they both have the same passion, and they go about their passion in different ways. Brandon at Westfield is the head of the African American Students Club. He's white, and he's the head of the African American Students Club. Mark, who is African American, is a rap artist and is well known in Indianapolis. And especially in February, if you follow Mark in February during Black History Month, you get an education on social media because he's posting stories of the African American experience and those who've impacted the world. It's just, they both are very powerful, but very different because your calling has a style based on your personality and your unique skills. And I think the quote you see up here from Neil deGrasse Tyson summarizes it when he said, "What I want to do is find the things that would represent my unique contribution to the world, the contribution that and here's the phrase, my portfolio of talents," because obviously Neil deGrasse Tyson's portfolio of talents is not going to be ours. He goes about it in a unique way, but you have a portfolio of talents based on your personality and your skills. So turn to page 14 in your workbook. And let's talk about your personality to begin with. Your calling has a style. Now, the Enneagram is only one of a numerous tests you could take. All we're looking for is to try to grasp what are some bullet point characteristics of your personality. Page 14 gives you some of those bullet point characteristics. You don't have to use the Enneagram. You can use whatever personality test you want. And one of the things I'm going to start to incorporate, because a newer testing, Working Genius, we're going to start incorporating that into this workshop because it's also an excellent way to understand how you go about influencing the world. So let's talk about, let's just do a brief, the style of a one. How would a one on the Enneagram approach their calling? Tell me the ones in the room. You can, yes, the ones, you're not going to raise, thank you for doing that. Most ones won't raise their hands because their self-incrimination will not allow them because, I am married to a one. I am married to the one, the woman who God used as the model for ones. Ones, your style in approaching whatever your calling is, your style in approaching it, there's going to be some level. You're going to go into your calling. You want it to be right, and you want it to be done well, and have whatever your calling is, it's going to have a sense of perfection to it. Also, if you're a one, your style toward your justice quotient is so through the roof that your understanding of justice in the world, your calling probably, in many cases, will have some sort of tie to justice. I'm watching my wife right now. Her justice quotient, it just blows mine out of the water. And the other day, talking to her about her the way she sees justice in the world, she weeps over it. That's her. Now, the twos in the world, we know you. How many of you are twos in the world? Look at how many there are. If your calling doesn't have some sort of relational component, I'm going to be shocked. Because you twos know very well that the thing that you want to do in this world more than anything else, it's that four-letter word, help. That's what you want to do. You want to come alongside other people and help them. How about the threes in the room? I'll raise my hand because I'm a three. Any threes in this room? Am I the only one? And it's not right. Because women, what's that? Oh, that's right. All the threes are working. Yeah, I can see that. My daughter's a 3, and she's working today. Yeah, I get it. So we'll skip over the 3s, but the style of the 3 when it comes to your calling is get her done. Get her done. Take the next hill. Then there are the 4s. Any 4s in the room? There's only one. Now, what you are going, we know this about you. Whatever you bring into your calling is going to be something that embraces every emotion possible and every element of creativity that you can bring into it. That's what the 4 does. The style of the 5s. How many 5s do we have in the room? All right, whatever you're the only 5? We know this about you, as if your style is, if you're a 5, the way you're going to approach your calling is you're going to think deeply about it. And you're going to bring your sense of, I am going to pull as much information together as I can, and I'm going to bring definition. That's what you do. That's what 5s do. If the 3 is get her done, the 5 is let's think about this. The 6s, any 6s in the room? Whatever you do with your calling, it's going to have a couple of components. Your loyalty factor is through the roof, so somehow in your calling, you love to work with others and this loyalty factor, but you're also the people in the room. You're going to approach your calling with a quality control and you are the canary in the coal mine. You will tell us when things are going to go south. You're the one sitting there going, have you thought about this? That's the style you're going to bring to your calling. 7s in the room? Who are the 7? Yes, and if the 7s, no. That is so stereotypical to give a woo for a 7 because their style, your calling is going to look like this. Hey guys, let's do this. Hey guys, have you seen this? How many hobbies have you had? Yeah. Yeah, the most famous 7 in my life is my son. And he is on his 357th hobby. He's now making mead. What? But he's all excited about it. But 7s, what you do in your calling, wherever you serve with your calling, 7, you're going to bring a sense of infectious enthusiasm that other people don't have. 8s, how many 8s in the room? Only 1? Okay, so here's an interesting thing about 8s. They're going to get it done, but they combine this with a sense of justice that they know where they're going. And 8s inevitably are the ones that force the hand of everybody else, and we're grateful for that. They say, let's go, let's do this. And to put it mildly, we understand being an 8 woman in the world is not the easiest position to be an 8 woman in the world. But I'm glad you're here. The 9s, I'm going to tell you the style. Here's the style. I'll show you with one thing I do with my body that will show what 9s do. This is the style you bring to your calling. It looks like this, everybody. The 9s bring people together and are very concerned that whatever we're doing, that everyone is heard and we're processing. They're some of the most introspective of all the numbers. So, your personality defines the style, how you go about your calling. Real quick, let's play a real quick game called the Enneagram game. Now, this church, some of you don't attend this church, has a massive care center and food pantry, one of the best, frankly, one of the best in the nation, care centers. But I want you to play a game. Let's pretend that you live in kind of a rural area of Indiana, and you realize when you look at your county that there are people that have needs. They need food. They need the kind of things that the care center here provides, but there's no care center in your rural county. But you have friends, there are 4 of you, that you get together every month for coffee, and you're sitting at coffee one day, and somebody says, you know what, I'm really frustrated by the fact I know there are people that live in this city, in this county, that have needs. We need to start a food pantry. All right? And the other 3 sitting at the table say, I agree. We agree. Okay. What I didn't tell you is that the 4 people sitting at the table, you're all going to start a food pantry in your county. Except one of you's a 1, one of you's an 8, one of you is a 5, and one of you is a 7. Now, tell me, what happens next? If the 1, what did I say? The 1, the 8, the 5, and the 7 all sitting at, no, wait, let's change. Let's not make it a 7. Let's make it a 2. A 1, a 2, a 5, and an 8. You're sitting at the table. You're going to start a food pantry. What happens next? A 1, a 2, a 5, and an 8.
So what we are making a list of all of the things that we have to do.
All right. So the ones immediately, and you're sitting there, the list is, it's almost like, it's coming. So the 1 is getting the list of all you need to do.
The 5 starts researching models and
I'm going to, and they come back in a
Research.
week,
5
and
loves research.
they've looked at all the models of food pantry. They've researched it. We got a 2 and an 8. What are they going to do?
She's going to figure out how to love the people that they're going to serve.
And the 2 is going to find all the volunteers.
Going to pull in the volunteers? Yes, over here.
The 8 might bring in all the connections they have in the community and resources to put it together.
Absolutely. They're gonna go work their connections, and they don't even have to twist arms. They have this influence about them that will draw people in. So, I just wanted to show you that you have 4 people with the same, maybe this is their calling, this is their passion, but they're gonna go about it in different ways because your calling has a style. So what I want you to do now is go back to your calling quilt. In your workbook, go back to your calling quilt, and we are going to, if you haven't done so already, we are going to transfer, not moving, it's because it's not on. There we go, no, it's not on, now it's, here we go. There we go. What I want you to do in your calling quilt, if you need to be reminded the characteristics, the bullet point characteristics of your personality, page 14 will help you do that. And even if you didn't take the Enneagram, pick one of these that feels like you and transfer the information. You could put it on one patch, but I would suggest break it up and put it in 2 or 3 patches and just, this is skills. Hold on. I got the wrong one. There we go. What I want you to do is put your number at the top of the patch and then some of the characteristics of that number. Does everyone understand what I'm asking you to do? So you have on your calling quilt aspects of your life story. We're now adding characteristics of your personality. So go ahead and do that. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Any questions about your personality, the characteristics of your personality vis-a-vis your calling? All right, now this next part has lots of ties between personality and skills and gifts, because if you did your homework, you invited 3 people to speak into your life. You invited 3 people to tell you, what do you see in me? And before we get into that, I'm just curious if someone would tell me, what was it like for you to do that? To invite somebody to tell you what they see in you? What was the process like? Amy?
Because I've done this a couple times over the years, I had people that came to mind that I kind of knew. Yeah, I had people that came to mind because, but I felt like I knew what they would say because of the nature of our relationship. So this time around, I chose people that know me better than anybody. I chose one of my children who see me at my best and my worst. I chose my husband who sees me at my best and at my worst. And my parents who are in their late 80s now. And that was, it gave me something very different than what I would have gone if I had asked friends or people from the church or whatever. And it was very helpful.
And you've done this several times. Is it easy to do or hard to do?
Oh, no. It's it's awful. I think I sent a little text to, we were all, nervous about it, my parents got lots of ammo. I mean, I was afraid. I mean, there were some things I was afraid of what they might say. And I did have to remind my mom, this isn't strengths and weaknesses, Mom.
Interesting. Anybody else? I'm just curious to see, Carrie.
It felt awkward to be like, hi, can you tell me how great I am? It just feels weird.
Yeah, it can feel weird. It's unnatural, let's call it that. It doesn't feel natural. Anybody else? Okay.
I was surprised. I kind of feel like I'm princess of the universe or going to run for the next office. The way people talked about me, I asked a whole new, like Amy did, I asked a whole new bunch of people, and I was amazed, and part of me was resistant. It's like, I can't be that.
Yeah,
And yet, if you look at my track record, I am.
yeah. Thank you. This is added, I'm going to throw this in. This is not part of the workshop. One of the greatest needs of humanity, of human beings, is to be seen, to be noticed, and to be seen. I would suggest that it's probably one of the main reasons why Brene Brown says we're not okay. She said, we're just not okay, because we don't feel like we're seen. When you ask somebody to speak into your life and tell you what they see in you, you're asking to be seen, and it feels unnatural. But it's really one of the most important things you can do, because you might find out stuff about yourself that really me? And it's a powerful thing. Now, let me flip it. Here's the bonus. I don't know that there's any more powerful words that you could ever offer anyone in your life than these words. Can I tell you what I see in you? Can I tell you what I see in you? As a matter of fact, it's so important to me that really that's the heart of my calling, is right there. That's the thing that drives me these days, is to help people to see what's in them and who they are. You could try this, go a whole day, and every person you meet, find some way to tell them what you see in them. I started doing this for a while. Everyone, even people who serve me in restaurants, I tried to find a way to say, you're good at that. It will be transformative if you can learn to say, here's what I see in you, and give them an honest appraisal of who they are. So, what did they say about you? This is huge, but we're just going to try to summarize what they said about you and transfer in bullet points onto your calling quilt. Okay? Now, how many of you discovered that what people said about you had a direct tie to your personality? That's always the case. For example, if you're a 2 on the Enneagram, when people say, oh, what I see in you is you're always there for me, or you're always there for people. That's just the way it is. Or if you're a 5 on the Enneagram, somebody say, you know what I love about you? The way you deeply think through things, right? So what I want you to do is get out the information that your friends said about you and create more patches on your calling quilt that you can head with gifts or skills or abilities and write down in as many patches as you want what people said about you. You go. And by the way, if you want to see this is one of my clients from several years ago. I have on hers skills here, and she's a 4-wing 3. If you want to see how we captured the aspects of her character, of her personality, and her skill set, you can come up and look at this. Still the tears, yeah. Actually, I've only done this, private clients, I think I've only had 2 4s or 3 4s. Liv was one. Shivani was another, and maybe one other. It's very interesting. The kinds of people that want the private coaching on this, very interesting who they are. By the way, we do private coaching on this. If you want to experience it, Lexi's had the private coaching on it. She can maybe tell you how that was different than the group. And who else had private coaching? Did I take anybody else through it? Questions? Any questions? What we're writing down is sort of a way to characterize the style of your calling. So listen what I'm going to tell you, because this is another one of those truths you might want to remember. I said there are 4 aspects of your life that help define your calling. Your life story, your passions, your personality, and your skill set. Now watch. If you want to know what your calling is, we're going to pay deep attention to your life story and your passion. If you want to figure out how you're going to go about pursuing that calling, you pay attention to your personality and your skills. So your life story and your passions, because already, we spent time in your life story last week, already you probably have an inkling at least of what your calling is simply from your life story. Now, when we next week talk about your passions, you're going to see how what's happened to you in your life has been transferred into a movement within you, a desire to do something about it. But it's the skills and the personality are going to, when you go and you say, I'm going to pursue this calling, well, you're going to do it in your skill set. You're going to do it through your personality. I did this workshop in Ohio. It was actually a national organization. They invited me to do this workshop, and the organization was a gathering of people who ran, I think, crisis pregnancy centers around the country. So they wanted me to do this workshop for them. Everybody in the room, and they were, I think, all women, everyone in the room really shared the same passion. Their passion revolved around babies, of course, and the mothers who carry them. So they had these crisis pregnancy centers to love both. I got to this part of the workshop, and I sensed something in the room was, I didn't know how to describe it. I said, how many of you feel like you're pursuing your calling in a way that is not commensurate with your personality? How many of you feel like you're doing the thing you're passionate about, but you're uncomfortable in the way you're doing it because it doesn't fit who you are? And one woman raised her hand. And I said, all right, and it was very brave because her boss was sitting there, okay? The head of the crisis pregnancy center was sitting at the table, and she said, I love what we're doing, but not long ago, we realized we needed somebody in the back room crunching the numbers and doing the details. So I've been doing it because nobody else would do it, but I'm miserable. Then hands started going up around the room. 2, 3, 4, and then the tears started to flow. And I thought, what have I done? And come to find out that every single person that raised their hand and were frustrated did what they felt like they needed to do because somebody needed to do it, but what it did was dampen their passion for their calling. And so I wrapped it up and I said, well, those of you who lead these organizations, I think you better pay attention, because every single one of these people that were frustrated in the back room, where they really wanted to be was at the front door, because that was their personality. So this is what I mean. You need to not only pursue your calling, your passion, but do it in the way that is unique to you, your personality and your skills. I just gave you a whole bunch to think about. You good with this? Any reactions or questions? Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's saying I have these skills, but I want to, or even I want to possess a skill I don't have. That's beautiful, especially if you say, I have this passion, this calling, but I want to be able to do it better. That's just basically working with God, saying, I'm in, help me get better at it. I think it's brilliant. Other questions?
I have an unrelated question.
Yeah, fine.
When you were in the room of football players,
Yes.
did you ask them if it felt awkward for people to praise them versus a room full of moms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I ask everybody, private clients, group, I ask them the same thing because I know this sounds weird. It's an unnatural thing to ask somebody to tell what you see in me. And it's emotional.
I just imagine a bunch of football players that are praised for all that they are all the time. It would be easier for them to.
Yes, now let me flash forward and say now all of a sudden they've spent their whole life getting awards and accolades for what they do, and now they're not doing it. Just imagine the sense of discord in their own hearts. And it played out. I mean, when I sat in the room individually with these guys, it was fascinating to watch two things. Number one, they awakened to the possibility that I can be something else, something that maybe I was designed for outside of football. Maybe it's been there a long time. And I've watched some of them pursue new directions in their life, some in a very public way, and it's been cool. Other questions or reactions? Yes.
So I don't know if this is more of like a personal question, but have you had any twos that are just like, I just feel like my calling is just like live. Do you know
Calling is
I
what?
mean? My calling is just to like live and like be with people.
Yes.
So I'm having a hard time like narrowing it down because I feel like it's just life.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I don't think you necessarily have to narrow it down.
Okay.
Okay? Because twos in particular, let me back up and say this. For many people, the calling is just how they roll. This is how I show up in the world. You show up in the world saying, how can I help you? How can I come alongside you as a two, right? And that's a very powerful calling, but like every other calling, it just takes a level of intentionality. And you know the downside of the two is that sometimes helping is your way of pumping yourself up.
Right.
And that's not necessarily a good thing either.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I think callings can be, for example, for me, I do my calling of, here's what I see in you in these workshops and when I coach people. But it also is how I roll. I love to look at somebody and say, I love that you did that this way. It's part of who I am. So yeah, your calling can be very much the umbrella of the way you roll in the world. Yes.
I'm going to play off of what Ashley just asked because I'm a 1, but I think my wing is a 2.
Yeah.
So I'm torn between like the perfectionist side of me that like wants to do the best of the best of the best and do it right the first time. And sometimes I like don't want to do things until I'm perfect at them. But then also I don't want to do the big things.
You don't want to what?
Like sometimes I don't want to do the big things. Like
Yeah.
I just want to live, like she's saying.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's,
How do your
again,
wings affect?
Here's the way to think about it. Your calling is always something that contributes to other people. Okay? So at approaching the world, the interesting thing about a one-wing two is one of the words that used to describe a one-wing two is they are the host. What they love to do is to bring people around them and create an environment for that person that maybe they can't experience themselves. Or create an environment because they need the sense of what I can bring into their life. That's how your calling can play out in contribution. In other words, you bring your sense of beauty and order and into the life of someone else who doesn't have it right now. Does that help? Does that make you feel like I can do that? Beautiful. Beautiful.
Hi, I just have a quick question. I am primarily a 1.
Yep.
But when I was looking at my numbers, I have 3 other numbers that are also like in the 90th percentile.
Right.
And they all pretty much reflect me. But then when I'm reading, there's some differences to them. So how do you...
Yeah. There's actually two trains of thought when it comes to Enneagram. There are some people who think the test is the great revealer. There are some people who don't even take the test, read the different characteristics, and pick the one that feels like you. So the fact of the matter is you may be a 1, I may be a 3, but I'm deeply influenced by other of the characteristics. The encouragement here is not what the test tells you, is what you tell you. You could come up with a composite of your characteristics that feel like a 1, like a 9, like a 2. You have to define this is who I am. Does that help?
And just so everybody knows, I brought some books, some Enneagram books on that little table. If you want to look through a list of the characteristics, that might be helpful. Feel free to borrow any of those books. And I'm happy to talk to you too.
Yeah.
If you want to ask
Sarah's,
questions.
she's well versed in the Enneagram, so seek her out. She's more well versed than I am in the Enneagram, to be honest with you. So she's your expert. All right. So we've covered your life story. We have done a fast run through your personality and your skills and gifts. Your calling quilt at this point is going to be pretty full. It should be pretty full. The only thing missing is what we're going to talk about next week, and that is the thing that makes you do this. What do you stand for? your passion. That'll be the last conversation next week. And also next week, we're going to do the hard work of connecting the dots, pulling the themes together from life story and personality, and voila. Hopefully something will emerge. Hopefully. See you next week.
Oh, homework? Casey just asked what the homework is. It is
Oh, yeah.
on the handout and in the app as well. But what do you got, Dave?
Yep, it's basically brew yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and sit down there and figure out what moves me, what's my passion. Also, I do have copies of the book, which this workshop was built on if you want. They're $10. And if you're interested in further coaching one-on-one with me or anybody on the team, I've got cards I can hand you and we can interact about that. Or if you're sitting there thinking, you know who needs to hear this? Hook them up with me, okay? We'll get them going. Because I know you're thinking your husband needs this, right? Yeah, because you're tired of him moping around and asking questions about what am I doing with my life? Send them to me. All right, see you next week.